It has been almost 20 years since Budokai 1 was released. If you're like me, growing up as a Dragon Ball Z fan in the late 90s and early 2000s, Budokai 1 was probably one of your first exposures to a DBZ game. And what an introduction it was. As a kid, I loved this game. It had it all: stunning 3D visuals, a cinematic story mode, minigames, Piccolo, loved it. But it's been a long time since I've played it, and it's not a game I've returned to as frequently as I did with Budokai 2 or 3. So after all these years, does Budokai 1 still hold up? Well, let's find out together. Have you ever gone back to a game that you used to love and realised that it wasn't actually that good? Or replayed a game that you used to hate but found out that it was a lot better than you remember? Well, in this series, I'm going to be revisiting some games from my past and seeing whether or not they are as good or as bad as I remember. This is what we had to play. Dragon Ball Z Budokai was released in 2002 for the PlayStation 2. The following year, the GameCube version was released, with the original Xbox going without.
Tragedy, ain't it?
As the GameCube version was released almost a year after the PlayStation 2 version, the opportunity was taken to improve the graphics using cel shading. But for this retrospective, I'm going to be playing through the version that I played as a kid, and that is the PAL version on the PS2, which has a few differences to the North American release. One of the biggest differences you'll notice is the lack of English voice acting. Yeah, I don't know why the English voice tracks are missing. They are in the North American version. Maybe they just ran out of time?
Hey, we finally have the dub ready. Ah, it's fine, man. We already released the game.
Whatever the reason, the PAL version just has subtitles, which can be extremely entertaining in their own right.
Trunks.
Oh, you Aunt Sally's!
What does it mean?
I have no fucking clue. I'm just so confused.
Booting up the game, we come to another difference between the versions, and that is the opening cinematic. For North America, they got a recreation of the anime opening with the Rock the Dragon music in the background. For PAL regions, we got an opening that just uses clips from the cutscenes in the game. While the PAL version is very nostalgic for me, I much prefer the other version. It has more dynamic animations and is just a lot more reminiscent of the anime. It does have its quirks though, mostly the awkward timing of the scenes. It lingers on some scenes for too long and it just brings down the pacing. I did not edit this, it goes on for this long. The PAL opening is kinda low effort in comparison, with the reusing of the animations from the story mode. The way Budokai 1 presents its story is through recreations of scenes seen in the anime and manga. If you have played Budokai 1 and 2, you'll notice how much of a downgrade those two games got in their delivery of their stories. The character animations are honestly some of the best seen in any Dragon Ball Z game. Just comparing it with the cutscenes from Tenkaichi 1, a game that came out 3 years later, you really see the difference in quality. It has great impacts from the attacks, and most importantly, they capture the personality of the characters. And while the animations of the characters looks fantastic, the actual look of the characters is a bit hit and miss. Don't get me wrong, they definitely look like the characters they're supposed to be, but they don't really match up with the style of the manga or the anime. Many of the models have a great amount of detail, but they're too rounded and soft looking. Also, some of the proportions of the characters' bodies look kinda off. This is most evident with Gohan's model. His limbs just look too long for his body. Then there is the colour palette, which is very desaturated. It more closely resembles the colours of the manga rather than the anime. I'm not sure if this is what they're going for, but it makes the characters blend in too much with the backgrounds. especially when there is dust and effects overlaid with the characters. The ki blasts and effects are very bland. Their colours are very muted and don't really stand out that well. It takes away from the impact of these attacks, which are usually quite a spectacle to see. The auras are even worse. You can barely see them. They're so faint that half the time you won't even notice that they're there. The menus just scream manga. This is why I think the game was trying to do something in between the styles of the manga and the anime. Unfortunately, the half measure of both doesn't really achieve either. Overall, the graphics look clean and reflect the likeness of the characters well. It's just lacking when it comes to meeting the style of Dragon Ball Z. When you start a new game, you'll discover that there is no dedicated tutorial. This is due to the fact that the tutorial is built into the story mode. As you move through the plot, the game's mechanics are gradually introduced to you. Because of this, let's just jump straight into the story mode. Just like in the source material, the story starts off with Goku visiting Kame Island with his young son Gohan. Suddenly, Goku's brother Raditz arrives and kidnaps Gohan.
Stop, don't come back.
The story is divided into sections, each with its own title card. This is pretty cool because it closely resembles the structure of the anime. The first fight begins when Goku and Piccolo track down Raditz. For this first fight, we'll take on the role of Goku. Before we begin, we are given an information card outlining the controls. The gameplay begins simple enough, with us being able to punch, kick, guard, and throw ki blasts. Combos can be performed by combining these actions. Holding a certain direction while doing these actions will also lead the attacks to alter. The grab move is noticeably absent from the basic controls. Because the grab isn't part of a character's baseline skill set, it must be equipped as a special skill. This really threw me off to begin with. I keep trying to grab Raditz but couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. After defeating Raditz, we are given a skill capsule. Characters can be equipped with capsules to execute certain attacks and transformations. You can also equip special capsules such as the Sensu Beam.
Beam, Dad? Yes.
Which can revive you once if you fall in battle. If you're lucky, you may also be rewarded with a Dragon Ball. Unfortunately, I never got this lucky. If you collect all 7 Dragon Balls, you'll be granted one wish, but I never got that lucky. In order for Piccolo to hit Raditz with his special beam cannon, we must play a mini-game in which we must rotate the analog stick to move within the blue region. You win if you are in the right place at the right time. It's really easy to overshoot the line, but it's not too difficult overall.
Oh, to hell with it! Special beam cannon!
Is that what you're gonna yell out when you— Oh God!
Double kill!
We unlock Raditz, who can now be used in the other game modes. All of the characters can be unlocked by playing through the story mode, aside from one. Piccolo hits Raditz and Goku, forever sleeping them both. Goku is sent to the afterlife to train with King Kai in preparation for the invasion of the Saiyans. These cutscenes are excellent. They reproduce the Snake Way and it looks fantastic. It's just a shame that they only appear in these cutscenes. It would be awesome if there was a minigame for travelling along the Snake Way or something similar. While the rest of the Z fighters are engaged in battle with Nappa and Vegeta, Goku is wished back to life by the Dragon Balls and we begin our fight against Nappa. This is the first fight in which we can use the Kaioken technique. In this game it's called King Kai Fist for whatever reason. The fight is quite easy and acts mostly as a warm-up for the next battle with Vegeta. I adore the cutscene preceding Vegeta's fight. It's a fantastic recreation. It's at this point that you realise that a lot of the fights end up being very similar. While we are gradually gaining new skills, there isn't enough variation to keep the gameplay from becoming repetitive. While the game's simplicity makes it easy to learn, it also makes it rather limited. Vegeta will proceed to turn into a great ape and attempt to crush Goku. Luckily, Yajirobe takes the opportunity to slice off Vegeta's tail, causing him to revert back to his humanoid form.
He's back to normal. Go on! We can do this! We can beat him! We have a chance!
Because Goku is too injured to battle, we shall take on the role as his son Gohan. He plays mostly the same as his father, although with slightly different moves. The biggest difference is that he has far less health at the start of the fight, but so does Vegeta. This is the last fight of the saga. Well, sort of. But I'll go into that a bit later. Goku decides to spare Vegeta's life and allows him to flee.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
We then get a preview of the next story segment, which is the Frieza saga. If you go back to the main menu, you'll see that the background image has changed. Each saga has its own artwork. Once Goku has recovered from his injuries, he begins to make his way to the planet Namek. As he journeys through space, he takes the opportunity to train. During this section we play through a small series of mini-games. The first one is simple, we just need to deflect 15 ki blasts. To deflect a ki blast, you just have to press guard before the blast hits you. The timing is actually way more lenient than it seems. On a side note, the stages that these training minigames take place in is kind of a weird choice. I get that it's supposed to be a simulation of the fight against Vegeta, but it almost feels like you're being teleported back to Earth. I think this section really could have benefited from its own stage, plus it would be really cool to have a stage that takes place inside the spaceship. I don't think this series ever got any indoor stages, unless you count the hyperbolic time chamber, but no one does. The second training session we must activate burst mode 5 times. It's basically just a struggle and you must press buttons and rotate the analog stick as quickly as possible to win. The feedback of the burst mode is really bad. It's hard to tell how well you're doing and they go on for far too long. Sometimes it just feels random as to whether you're gonna win or not. The third and final training session is to just defeat the fake Vegeta. Landing on Namek, we'll be taking on 2 members of the Ginyu Force.
We are the Ginyu Force!
First Raccoon and then Captain Ginyu. When using powerful ki blasts like the Kamehameha, you first must perform a combo. This is really dumb, especially if you want to launch one from a distance. You first have to throw a few punches into the air and it just looks and feels cumbersome. The Kamehameha in this game is yellow, which is the colour it was depicted as in the manga. Cell is the only character whose Kamehameha is blue. Defeating Captain Ginyu for the first time will cause him to switch bodies with Goku. For this next fight, it can be a little bit difficult as we must play as Ginyu and his moveset isn't as good as Goku's. We also begin with a health disadvantage. While Goku is healing in the rejuvenation chamber, the other Z fighters struggle to hold off Frieza.
Oh, fuck.
When he is all healed up, we face Frieza in his final form.
If it weren't for Freezer, you wouldn't be
Dying? No.
The fight plays out pretty much the same as the other fights, although we do have access to more moves, like the grab now, so there are a little more options. Goku attempts to take out Frieza using the Spirit Bomb. But fails, and Krillin ends up getting forever sleeped. Enraged, Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan.
What the hell is all this about? What's up with your hair? What's up with your eyes? Answer me!
We start the fight in Super Saiyan form, and this is where it becomes really noticeable, one of the most annoying things about this game, and that is how fast your ki gauge drains. Look at how quickly Goku is knocked out of the Super Saiyan form. It is so annoying. It almost makes it not worth transforming at all, because it drains so fast, it is so easy to run out of ki, so you can't perform any of your special moves. You can manually power up by pressing back twice while holding guard. Since you are completely vulnerable while doing this, it almost isn't worth taking the extra damage to do so. It's also really hard to tell when Goku is even in his Kaioken state, since the auras are so faint. If it wasn't for the fact that the character portrait next to the health bar changes, it would be almost impossible to tell. The final fight in the saga is against Frieza once again, but this time he is powered up to 100%.
If I let him power up to 100% and beat him then, it'll demoralize him, and he'll never threaten anyone again.
Goku, that is retarded!
It can be quite difficult given your low health, and he is quite aggressive. Once losing Super Saiyan form, there isn't really enough health to play with to transform again, so we end up taking him out using basic combos and grabs. Goku manages to escape just in time, and that brings us to the end of the Frieza saga.
Why are you the way that you are?
Goku speaks with future Trunks, who warns him of the android threat that would befall them in 3 years. He also tells Goku about his heart disease, which he will suffer from, and hands him the medication to treat it.
Is it grape flavored?
I don't know, yes?
Because I don't like grape.
Then it's bacon flavored.
Yay!
It jumps ahead 3 years to when Goku faces off against Android 19. The gimmick for this fight is that Goku's health is constantly decreasing as a result of his heart disease. I've never understood why Goku wasn't taking his medicine to address his heart disease.
Because it was grape flavor!
I mean, he waits until he's about to die before he starts taking it. I get that Goku isn't the brightest guy in the world, but this is borderline masochistic. Since Goku is passed out for most of the saga,
Oh good, he took a
it's up to Piccolo to take care of Cell and make sure he doesn't absorb the androids to achieve his perfect form. Another quirk of this game is the ability to perform skills before having them. You can utilize the fuse with Kami transformation in this fight, but you don't get it until after the fight. This isn't necessarily a mistake though, because the skills are supposed to be utilized outside of the story mode, but it is notable because there are other encounters where you can't use the skills until you earn them. Despite our attempts, Android 17 is eventually absorbed. The plot fast forwards quite a bit, with Goku and Gohan having already completed their training in the hyperbolic time chamber. There is a reason why huge chunks of the plot are missing, but we're gonna go into that a little bit later.
I just came to measure you up, and I gotta say, nice. See you in a week!
It's a date.
Yeah, I know. That's how days work.
The Cell games have already begun, and we get to face off against Cell in his perfect form. Cell is definitely the most difficult opponent in this mode, and we'll have to face him a few more times after this, with him getting progressively stronger. This is the final time we will play as Goku in the story mode. We will swap to Gohan for the final few fights. When we defeat Cell for the first time as Gohan, Cell will forever sleep Android 16, causing Gohan to get enraged, allowing him to turn into Super Saiyan 2. My personal favorite transformation. The fight against Cell Jr. is actually against 6 Cell Juniors. Luckily, it's not all at the same time. When one is defeated, the next one will appear. They each only have 1 health bar, so it's not quite as bad as it sounds. There are only 2 more fights left, and they're both against Cell. While this is faithful to the source material, it is very repetitive, and you don't really get any new moves during this section, aside from the Super Saiyan 2 transformation, and like I said before, transformations kinda suck.
Alright, Gohan! Think it's time you brought her home!
Hold on. I'm not done ripping the wings off his butterfly.
Red flag.
Beating the crap out of Cell causes him to vomit up Android 18.
It's a girl. Mazel tov.
making him revert back to his semi-perfect form. He decides to blow himself up and take everyone with him because he is a sore loser. By teleporting himself and Cell to King Kai's planet, Goku sacrifices himself and King Kai. Such a gentleman. Fuck you, King Kai. That's what Goku thinks of you. But it doesn't work, and Cell reappears, this time even more powerful. The final battle is by far the toughest in the story mode. The low health is a major disadvantage, and because we're starting in Super Saiyan 2, our ki drains quickly. Expect to be unable to sustain this state for the duration of the fight because Cell is extremely aggressive, giving no breathing room for charging your ki. Trunks gets got and we get the best bit of dialogue in the game. The iconic father and son Kamehameha scene plays out and Cell is finally defeated for good. Trunks returns to the future and Goku stays forever asleep. Forever. But not really. No one dies forever in this universe. It's too convenient. Budokai's story mode only goes up to the end of the Android saga, leaving out the Buu saga entirely. And that's it for the story mode. Well, not really. Once you've completed the story mode for the first time, you'll be able to access the level select. Not only that, but there are more story fights to play through as well. For the most part, the story was told from Goku's point of view during the initial playthrough. These extra fights follow a few of the other characters such as Piccolo as he trains Gohan during the Saiyan saga,
Then Gohan, bye.
and Vegeta during the Android saga.
Guess it's just you and me now, black man.
This is the reason for all the time skips during our first playthrough. While it's wonderful that you can unlock extra encounters, it seems like the story mode would flow better if they were just in there from the start. I understand wanting to reward a player for completing the game, but the way they've done it detracts from the core experience. Furthermore, there is already another reward that completionists get to enjoy, and those are the what-if scenarios. Each saga features its own what-if scenario, which centers on the saga's major villain. When playing as Vegeta after winning all of the fights, Yajirobe will fail to sneak up on Vegeta. Then he remembers Nappa and transforms into a Super Saiyan. I'm not sure why thinking of Nappa causes him to transform, considering he was the one that killed him, but yay. For Frieza, winning the fights will allow him to have his wish for immortality granted, and he goes on to destroy Earth and probably everyone else. Pretty simple, but makes sense. Cell's what if scenario is the weirdest one, and also the best. When trying to absorb Android 18, Cell accidentally absorbs Krillin instead. Whoops. Even though it's a really weird concept, I actually really like the design of this form. Yamcha and Tien take revenge on Cell and manage to take him out. But it turns out that it was all a dream. See? I told you it was weird. And that concludes the story mode. If you complete all the fights, you will have unlocked all but one of the characters, and in order to unlock him, we'll need to enter World Match mode. World Match is just the World Martial Arts Tournament mode. I don't know why it's called World Match in this game. Maybe it's a translation error, but I honestly don't know. The gameplay is the same as in the main game, but with the added win condition of a ring out system. There are 3 different tournaments: Novice, Adept and Advanced. If you beat the Adept tournament, you unlock Hercule. Edit Skill mode allows you to customize the character's skills by equipping capsules that you earn in the story mode and buying them from Mr. Popo's shop. I really don't like how the shop works in this game, because it is randomized aside from the recommended capsule. This is also where you can buy the capsule to unlock the Legend of Hercule mode. It can only be purchased if you have already unlocked Hercule. In the Legend of Hercule mode, you play as Hercule through 11 fights. The final fight is always against Perfect Cell, and each fight has its own special requirements, such as defeating Vegeta within the time limit to make it to the bathroom. I'm not making this up, it actually is one of the things. Duel mode allows you to fight against another player or computer. Pretty standard. A strange little tidbit is that the image for this mode depicts Vegeta in his Buu Saga attire, even though this game doesn't cover the Buu Saga. Whoops. Practice mode is a great place to learn the combos and controls of each character. You have infinite health and can set the computer's difficulty on the fly. You can have the combo that you want to practice displayed on the screen, and the game will tell you if you have performed it correctly. It's actually a really robust mode that is carried over to the sequels. Budokai 1 is definitely a product of its time. With the exception of the story mode presentation, everything this game does is done better in the sequels. The gameplay is very repetitive and there isn't much variety when it comes to the fights. Most of the characters feel about the same to play, and the transformations feel more like an annoyance rather than a reward for playing well. The mini-games are a nice addition, but they are pretty much dropped in the last half of the game. I wouldn't recommend playing this over Budokai 2 or 3. But what about the story mode? Is it worth playing for the story alone? And while I believe this is the best retelling of the anime/manga in the Budokai games, I would not recommend it for the following reasons. When Budokai 1 was released in 2002, access to the actual anime and manga was extremely limited, especially in New Zealand. I'd have to wait until after school to watch that day's one episode. There were DVDs with 3 or 4 episodes that you could get, but they were extremely expensive and the rental store never carried all of them. As a result, playing through this game was one of the most accessible methods to experiencing the Dragon Ball Z story. This is no longer the case thanks to the internet and easy access to various streaming sites. You'll have a much better time if you watch the anime or read the manga. Budokai 1 is not a bad game. It is an obsolete game. If you've been around these parts long enough, you'll probably know that Budokai 2 is somewhat considered the black sheep of the original Budokai trilogy.
Could you stop doing that? Could you stop doing that, please?
So much so that it was left out of the HD re-release in 2012. Although it was never my game of choice when picking a DBZ game, I definitely don't remember it being a bad game. It added a lot to the series and improved on its predecessor in many aspects. I think where the problem lies with this game, at least for me, is that it doesn't really excel at anything. And then there was the story mode, which was my least favourite out of the three by far. You play Budokai 1 for the story mode and Budokai 3 for everything else. But it has been many years since I've played Budokai 2, so is it really the black sheep of the series? Let's find out together. Ghost, stop eating that. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 is a fighting game developed by Dimps, the same developers of Budokai 1. It was released in 2003 for the PlayStation 2. The GameCube version was released over a year later for all regions except for Japan, with the original Xbox once again missing out.
Oh, no.
Despite the fact that Japan did not receive a GameCube version, the European GameCube version included the Japanese voiceover. The year between releases allowed the GameCube version to have slightly enhanced graphics, more difficulty options, and new costumes. For this retrospective though, we'll be playing through the version that I played as a kid, and that is the PlayStation 2 version. So, let us begin. The game begins with a stunningly animated intro. Even today the 2D animation looks wonderful. It depicts the fights of all the series' major villains. I particularly like the representation of the Buu fight. It portrays the battle on a massive scale that the anime never fully achieves. It also includes several of this entry's new characters, such as Goten and Kid Trunks, as well as the fusion ability. It's a terrific method to show the player what they can anticipate in the game in an entertaining way without giving away everything. The music is well synced with the visuals and is energetic, which will get you geared up for the game. This opening is fantastic, yet it does have its quirks. The characters look slightly off model somehow. It's hard to place. I guess it's more that the art style looks closer to Dragon Ball Super than to Dragon Ball Z, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, just different. There is also the case of Vegeta's brown hair, which seems to pop up from time to time, and then Goten's ankle bands that change colour between shots. Now these things do not matter at all, I just thought they were kinda interesting. One of the most noticeable improvements Budokai 2 makes over the first game is the graphics. The GameCube release of Budokai 1 attempted to emulate a cel shading style, but because that game wasn't built from the ground up with that style in mind, it wasn't really able to achieve it. Budokai 2 did, however, succeed where its predecessor did not. The cel shading looks incredibly crisp and vibrant. It's the perfect style for this game, and I'm glad that they adjusted their approach to 3D model designs to have sharper features and lines. The characters look extremely close to their anime and manga counterparts, apart from the faces. They look bad and the shading on them is too dark. Also, Piccolo looks like he has no pupils in the character select screen, and his skin colour looks too dark of green, although I do kind of like the way he looks. Ki blasts have been enhanced. They are much more bright and have better coloration. They don't quite live up to the spectacle of the anime or Budokai 3, but it's a huge improvement over the original. Although the Ki blasts improve significantly, the same cannot be said about the auras. They still look way too faint. They're quite difficult to see, and the same issue I had with them in the first game persists in this game. Once again, the main issue is with the transformations. They just don't feel as powerful as they should due to the lack of a striking aura. The problem with the Kaioken remains. Other than the portrait, it's impossible to discern when Goku is in this state. It's a shame that this wasn't addressed because it actually does have a negative effect on the gameplay. The stages look fantastic as well. They're quite simple, which works in the game's favour because it allows the characters to stand out from their environment. The The snowy mountain stage is my favourite since it has a really stunning snow effect. I'm not a fan of how the HUD looks. This may sound strange, but I believe it looks too cartoony. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z is technically a cartoon, and Budokai 2 is striving to mimic its style, but this health bar is out of place. It displays the information clearly and cleanly, but the aesthetic is simply incorrect.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It bothers me. It bothers me a lot.
All the menus in this game are really boring. They're so plain compared to Budokai 1's awesome manga-inspired menus. It almost looks unfinished, like this is a placeholder until the real one's done. But it never got done. The music is awesome. It carries over a few tracks from Budokai 1, but also adds in many great tracks of its own. It amps up the action and gives the Budokai series a distinct flair. It is extremely nostalgic, at least for me anyway, because I am old. Unlike in Budokai 1, where the game's mechanics are slowly introduced and taught to the player as they progress through the story mode, Budokai 2 has its own dedicated tutorial mode. It's framed as a training session between Goten and various other Z fighters. Each fighter will explain the actions and then have Goten perform said actions. When they are performed correctly, the tutorial moves on. It is separated into chapters with a brief explanation of what would be taught in each chapter. It's very simple, yet very effective. The actions are clearly defined and the controls are located at the bottom of the screen, making it very clear which button performs what. When you are prompted to do a combo, it will be presented at the bottom as well. It does an excellent job of introducing new players to the game's controls and mechanics, while also serving as a great refresher for experienced players. While I did like how Budokai 1 integrated the tutorial into the story mode, it does make the first few fights a little tedious and boring. I believe Budokai 2's method is far superior because it provides more guidance for those who require it and can be fully avoided by those who do not. The controls are fairly similar to the previous title. You can punch, kick, guard and throw ki blasts. By performing these actions in a sequence, you can execute combos. You can also deflect basic ki blasts if you can get the timing right. One of the best changes they made was making the grab a part of a character's basic move set, thank God. They also made it so if you want to perform a finishing move, such as the Kamehameha, you don't need to throw a few punches in order to do so. This makes doing ranged attacks way less awkward. You can manually charge your ki gauge, allowing you to unleash additional ki blasts and perform powerful finishing moves. These are characters' ultimate attacks. They are more powerful and can be charged by rotating the analog stick. Unfortunately, there are only a few variations of this technique, so expect to see numerous characters use the same animations. To dodge attacks or to get behind your opponent, you can strafe forward and back between planes. Dashing forward can be used to close in on your opponent and to also perform a dash attack to break their guard. Strangely, you cannot dash backwards, which is a kind of weird omission. Burst mode makes a return, and I'm pretty sure it's worse in this game. Or maybe I'm just really bad at them. It's a mystery. Not really. When both sides collide, burst mode is activated. In order to win the battle, you must rapidly press buttons, but I swear this doesn't work half the time. It can't be me, it has to be the game. I was pressing them so quickly, like two-handing the buttons, and I don't think I ever won one. Not once. There is no indication of how well you're doing. All you can do is mash buttons and hope you're doing enough. Fortunately, for me, they don't happen very often, so you can get through the fights without mastering burst limit. Transformations have returned, and thankfully they are considerably more manageable this time. They don't deplete your ki as much as they did in the first game, so you can utilize them without jeopardizing your ability to perform special attacks. Strangely enough, they omitted the inclusion of Frieza and Cell's various forms, and only features Cell's perfect form and Frieza's final form. Well, I guess it's not entirely true. There is Mecha Frieza that you can unlock. But other than that, the other ones are not in the game. That's weird. Newly added to the series is the ability to perform fusions. There are two types of fusions in the game, Fusion Dance is a temporary fusion that can be performed during a fight by launching your opponent into the air and successfully following the button prompts. If the transformation is successful, the key gauge is replaced with a timer. When in this form, you have unlimited ki until the timer runs out and the fusion will end. If you mess up the button prompts, the fusion will result in this.
Alright!
My God, what the fuck is that?
When in this state, your attacks are way less effective. The timer does run down a lot faster though, so the game does show you some mercy. I really love this little addition, and it really sucks that they took it out of Budokai 3. It is quite punishing, but it's also really funny, so I consider that a fair trade. Potara fusions are more permanent. After launching your opponent into the air, you must hit a button. If your opponent hits a different button than you, the fusion will be successful. Unlike the other fusions, you retain your ki gauge and remain fused until the end of the fight. The game features the canon fusions such as Gotenks, Vegito and Kibito Kai, but it also features a couple of what-if fusions. Tien Chi is the fusion of Tien and Yamcha. Then there's Goku, which is the fusion of Goku and Hercule.
Oh man! Oh no!
Depending on which outfits you choose, Goku will actually have two completely different physical forms.
Oh man! Oh no!
Now I'm not really sure if this counts as a fusion or a transformation, but there's also Buu absorptions. In Budokai 2, Super Buu has an ability called Absorption that allows you to absorb a character other than your opponent during the battle. Buu can absorb 6 different characters: Tien and Yamcha, Gohan, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, Frieza, Cell and Vegeta. Depending on the character he has absorbed will change his special attack. Budokai 2 contains a ton of new features and improves on the gameplay of Budokai 1. The changes are immediately noticeable as you have more options in a fight and your movement is much smoother. However, it still has a few flaws, such as the tedious button combinations and button mashing attacks that tend to dominate the combat. Budokai 2's combat is undeniably superior to its predecessor, but what about its game modes? Budokai 2's story mode is called Dragon World, and it is the worst story mode in the trilogy by far. It's not even close.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
While Budokai 1 was a very cinematic affair, with a lot of cutscenes retelling the story, and Budokai 3 being more focused on adventure with an overworld map, Budokai 2 decides to go with a board game. It's a strange choice, and while the board game setup isn't necessarily a bad idea, the way it was executed is. After selecting Dragon World mode, you will be launched into an intro telling about Goku and his quest for the Dragon Balls, and then the first stage begins. 2 Saiyan spaceships will crash into Earth, with Nappa and Raditz disembarking. Those familiar with the Dragon Ball Z story are probably confused, as Nappa doesn't arrive on Earth until a full year after Raditz.
Hi!
Well, don't expect Budokai 2 to faithfully follow the Dragon Ball Z story, because there is a lot of situations like this. This is an interesting concept, as it allows the game to have some freedom in telling the story in a unique way. Budokai 1 also had a similar thing with its what-if scenarios. Unfortunately, the game does nothing with this. In fact, it does almost nothing with the story at all. Many of the iconic moments from the series are missing, like Piccolo and Goku teaming up against Raditz, gone. Goku's first transformation into Super Saiyan, Vegeta and Goku's showdown, nope. One of the main reasons that this is the worst story mode in the series is simply because it doesn't really tell a story. Yes, it does have small character interactions, but they are very brief and the animations are very bland and are mostly just characters cycling through poses while talking. Whereas with Budokai 1 you could follow the story fairly well even if you weren't that familiar with the source material. With Budokai 2 however, you have no chance. Good luck with that.
Come eat that horse with me, Vegeta.
What the hell are you on about?
Even I got confused at what was even going on. For instance, when entering the second stage, you're placed on a board with a snowy background and Frieza is there in his final form with Captain Ginyu, and it's like, what?
Alright, I have already lost the plot completely.
There's so much wrong with this, but the game never addresses it at all. This is not another planet, this is on Earth, as you can see a crashed Red Ribbon Army plane in the background. This is such a missed opportunity. The whole story mode could have been made up of interesting what-if scenarios, but instead we get this. We have Frieza on Earth for some reason. It's never brought up by any other characters, the game never tries to explain it. He's just there and you fight him and that's it. Shit. So we have established that the story presentation is abysmal, but this isn't even the worst thing about the story mode. No, that would be the tedium of it all. Dragon World is designed to be played through multiple times if you want to unlock everything. This is not the issue, as there are many games that do this, and it can be really fun to go through a game again once you have mastered the mechanics. The issue comes from the mode structure. You control Goku and one or two other characters whom you choose as your partner at the beginning of a stage. You are on a board that has many spaces and green lines. You move your characters along the green lines to the spaces. There are also pieces for your enemies as well. When it's your turn, you select one of your characters and move them to another spot. Your main goal is usually to defeat a specific enemy. When you and your enemy meet up on the same space, you go into a fight. In order to eliminate an enemy from the board, you must fight them multiple times. This is so tedious. Sometimes you have to fight the same opponent 4 or 5 times. Both Frieza and Cell are reused so much throughout this mode that they become so annoying to face that you actively try to avoid interacting with them because you've fought them so much. And it really feels like...
Does that mean I win?
Yes! Yes! You win!
What do I win?
Yeah, so in case it wasn't clear, I'm not exactly a fan of this mode. That's an understatement. But it's not all bad. You can pick up items that will improve your character's stats during the stage to help speed up the fights. The daggers will increase a character's attack by 10 to 40%. A high attack means you are able to inflict more damage in battles. And picking up armor will receive a defense boost ranging from 10 to 30%.
Hey look Vegeta, I'm you! Paragon till death!
You ruined it. You ruined it and I'm leaving.
A higher defense means that you will take less damage from attacks. You also get a boost when you land on the same space as one of your allies, but I'm not really sure what stat is getting boosted exactly because it's not really that clear.
Wow, you guys sure got strong, huh?
That's right, Kakarot. And you wouldn't believe just how much. You see, while I was training in the depths of the hyperbolic time chamber, I looked deep within myself and blah 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 pride, blah blah prince of all blah 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 Super Saiyan, blah blah blah.
Zenny can also be found on the board. This is the game's currency, which can be used to purchase new skill capsules in the skills shop. Capsules can also be found on the boards. The capsule system works pretty much the same as it did in Budokai 1. You can equip up to 7 capsules to a character, each of which grants them the power to perform specific attacks and transformations. There are other capsules that offer specialized buffs and debuffs, such as the Heart Virus capsule, which constantly drains the health of a character who has the capsule equipped. However, not all capsules are created equal, since some will occupy more than one slot, and certain capsules can only be equipped by certain characters. The capsule system can be inconvenient. It's nice that you can customize each character to fit your playstyle, but the limited slot count gives little room for special moves, especially if you wish to use transformations. To utilize Super Saiyan 3 for example, you must first equip Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2. That's 3 of the 7 slots already taken. Yet there is a workaround, and that is the Breakthrough Capsules. In the Budokai series, the Breakthrough Capsules is a special item that allows the equipped character to use all of their moves during a fight. The only disadvantage is that it takes up all 7 slots, preventing you from equipping buffing or debuffing capsules. You must wish for these capsules from Shenron in order to get them. To summon Shenron though, we must first collect all 7 Dragon Balls. And how can we achieve this? It's actually fairly simple, but also not at the same time. The first Dragon Ball is always in the same location. However, later on you can pick up the Dragon Radar, which will indicate to you which space the Dragon Ball is in. So you navigate to that location and discover that there is nothing there. That's because you have to dig for it, but the game does a terrible job of informing the player of this. The only way to find out is to wait for the control explanation to appear. There it is. It wouldn't surprise me if someone played through the entire story mode without realizing you could do this. When digging, you can find more than just Dragon Balls. Onions are occasionally found. If you dig it up, the character who discovers it will gain an extra move for the rest of the stage. As an example, Gohan only has one move limit, therefore he can only move one space. He'll be able to move 2 spaces per turn with the onion. You can also dig up Zenny, attack boosts, and defense boosts. Keep in mind that all of these items that I've talked about can also be picked up by your opponents. So you need to work around their board movements in order to make sure you get the items you want. Besides items, you'll also see red spaces with symbols, which symbolize special battle conditions you will face if you fight there. There are 5 different types of spaces. On the half health space, your health gauge and your enemy's health gauge will start at half of their normal. On the drain heart space, both fighters' health will constantly decrease during the battle. The no blocking means your ability to guard is disabled. 0 key space means you'll start with 0 key. You can still power up to restore it. On the drain key space, it means your key will be constantly drained even if you aren't transformed. These spaces can add some variety to the gameplay, but because they affect both you and your opponent, they don't add much of a challenge. Maybe if it was only applied to one side, it would be more worth trying to land on them. Mr. Popo is a teleport space that will send you to a predetermined space on the board.
Nobody is thankful, there are no days off, and no one ever visits.
And finally, there is Dende spaces.
Is this a dragon? What's it?
Where am I? Who are you? Where's my family?
Hey.
Each fighter has 5 green blocks next to them that reflect his or her health. If the boxes are dark green, it means that they are empty. To fill the boxes, go to Dende space, which will restore 1 bar for you. Goku will always begin the stage with 3 HP, and will have a maximum of 5. If you win a fight, your opponent loses 1 HP. If you win and your opponent does not lose all of their health, a dazed symbol will appear above them. If you defeat them again while the symbol is there, they will lose 2 HP instead of just 1. However, if you lose a fight, you'll be knocked back a space and lose 1 HP. And when you refight that opponent again, their health will be reduced to the nearest gauge that you drop them down to, making them easier to take out. This is kind of unfair because that's not what happens to you. You always start with full health, unless you're on a half health space. We've gone over most of the board's mechanics, but there's still the question of how do we unlock characters, because there are quite a few to unlock. And that's where picking your partner on the board becomes very, very important. In order to unlock certain characters, for example Raditz, he must be defeated by Goku. Defeating him with any other character will not unlock him. You can also unlock Nappa in the first stage, but only by defeating him with Vegeta. Vegeta, on the other hand, cannot be unlocked until stage 3. As a result, unlocking Nappa on your first playthrough is impossible. This is why Dragon World must be played multiple times in order to unlock everything. Some are really obvious, like Goku defeating Frieza unlocks him, but others are a little more obscure and annoying. To unlock the Great Saiyaman, you must only fight Cell as Gohan. If any other character fights him, then too bad, you won't unlock him. You'll have to restart the stage. This is the most tedious part of the mode. Going through the same fights over and over just so you can get the characters that you want. Some stages, especially the later ones, really start to drag out, with a heap of Cybermen and Cell Juniors littering the board. You have to power your way through them just to advance. It's not like they're challenging in any way. Well, maybe I guess to my patience. The Cybermen only sport 1 health bar each. They're just there to pad out the gameplay to waste your time. To complete Dragon World, you must play through 9 stages. It covers all of the sagas, including the Buu saga. Each stage has its own objective for you to complete in order to progress. Most of the time, just requires you to defeat a certain enemy on the board. Most of the fights aren't that hard, but there is a noticeable difficulty spike when you fight Kid Buu. He is like on drugs or something. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like I said before, Budokai 2 story mode is my least favorite in the series. The health system really brings down the pacing, making you have to face off against the same character multiple times in a row. It definitely has a lot of replayability, but when it's repeated playthroughs that I don't really enjoy, it's hard to hold this point in the game's favour. Barbady's Barbady's spaceship is unlocked by collecting 7 Dragon Balls and wishing for it from Shenron. It's a mode that consists of 4 different fighting themed minigames. As you play the minigames, you'll earn Killy, which will be added up after each game. Once you reach a certain amount, you'll be awarded either capsules or characters. In stage 1, you will select a character and the opponent to face. The aim here is to fight your opponent, but he will only have 1 health gauge, and if you defeat him, Barbady will revive him. Essentially, it's an endurance test in which you try to defeat your opponent as many times as you can before he defeats you. The more you knock out, the more Killy you will earn. For stage 2, you just have to try and stay alive for as long as possible by guarding and dodging your opponent's attacks. In stage 3, your goal is to land as many hits on your opponent as possible before the time runs out. The more hits you get, the more Killy you gain. Finally, stage 4 requires you to volley as many key blasts as you can within the time limit. If you're just attempting to unlock everything as quickly as possible, this is the stage that you want to play because it awards the most Killy. The addition of Barbady's spaceship is fantastic. The minigames are entertaining and provide a welcome change of pace to the gameplay without deviating too far from the core mechanics. The dueling mode is fairly standard. It allows you to compete against the computer or against another player using any custom skills. If you like, you can also watch a fight between 2 computer-controlled characters, but I'm not sure why you'd want to, but you can. An improved version of the World Tournament mode returns for Budokai 2. We have the 3 basic modes of Novice, Adept and Expert, each having progressively more rounds. You can win matches by knocking your opponent out of the ring or lowering their health to 0. The ring is a bit bigger in this game, making the threat of ring outs not as daunting. Tournaments are the best way to earn Zenny. Winning a tournament or coming runner-up will award you with a bunch of Zenny to spend at the skills shop. They kept the practice mode from the first game and it's still really good. You can pretty much set up a battle any way you like, all from the menu. You may even tell the computer if you want it to fight back or not. A window at the bottom of the screen displays the buttons you just pressed. Very useful for memorizing and learning the timing of specific combinations of attacks. You can also practice against a friend if you have a second controller and a friend.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 was always my least favourite of the original trilogy, and after playing it again after all these years, it still is. If I were judging this game on the gameplay alone, Budokai 2 is far superior to that of Budokai 1. It improves practically every aspect of the controls and fighting mechanics. The new improvements all work well and contribute to the overall quality of the gameplay. It includes a ton of extra characters and fusions to unlock that any Dragon Ball Z fan would love. The visuals are stunning and accurately emulate the style of the Dragon Ball Z anime. The story mode, on the other hand, really drags the game down. It doesn't have the same amount of care as the first installment. It feels rushed and extremely repetitive. Every family has its black sheep, and for this series, it's Budokai 2. This game is kind of weird, and not always in a good way.
Could you stop doing it? Could you stop doing it, please? That's actually quite scary.
When I was a kid, there was a video rental store that my family and I would frequent pretty much every week, and that store was called United Video. In the 90s and early 2000s, video rental stores were prevalent throughout New Zealand, allowing customers to rent out movies and games for a small fee. As a kid, this was amazing as I didn't have much money, and these stores allowed me to experience game franchises that I still love to this day that I otherwise never would have gotten to play. My family were not rich by any means, and we couldn't afford every console that was coming out during this time, but my mum was smart with the family budget, and one year, for my birthday, I was gifted a PlayStation 2 memory card.
serious?
You see, I missed out an important part to my story. For at United Video, you could also rent out video game consoles. So for $8, I would get out a PlayStation 2 console along with 2 games, and those 2 games that I'd almost always get out was Kingdom Hearts and Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Released in 2004 for the PlayStation 2, it is the 3rd game in the Budokai series, obviously, given the name. In 2012, an HD remaster was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It was bundled with the first Budokai, with Budokai 2 being strangely absent. I wonder why. Anyway, for this video, I'm going to be playing through the PlayStation 2 version. So let us begin. Let's go into practice mode where I will go over the basics of the gameplay. Budokai 3 is a side-on fighting game. You can move side to side using the directional controls. Also, you are able to move between 3D planes by pressing the guard button while holding the directional controls either towards or away from the camera. To dash forward or back, you simply double tap and hold in whichever direction you choose. All characters have the same basic set of actions: punch, kick and grab. Using these actions, each character has their own list of combos they can perform. Punches and kicks can be mixed into combos to create different combinations. The forward and back motions can also change some of the attacks. Along with standard punches and kicks, you are able to launch ki blasts at your opponent, as long as you have enough ki in your ki gauge, which is displayed under the character's health bar. There are 7 bars in total. The larger bars represent a character's baseline ki. When ki is below baseline, it slowly rises back up to baseline. When it is above, ki slowly drops down to baseline. You can fill your ki quickly by powering up, done by holding guard, pressing back twice, and then holding back. You will, however, be completely vulnerable to attacks. Blocking is done by pressing and holding the guard button. Blocking does not negate all damage, but while blocking attacks you will gain a little bit of ki to fill your gauge. Certain moves such as grabs, ultimate launches and fully charged power attacks are unable to be blocked, while dash attacks are able to break through a guard. So you have to be mindful as to whether to block or dodge. The dodge is performed using the same button as blocking, but instead it is tapped rather than held down. Dodging will consume a small amount of ki, however the trade-off means you will avoid all damage. These are just the fundamentals of the gameplay, and I'll go over the other aspects as they crop up. Oh yeah, if it wasn't obvious, the fighter who depletes the opponent's health bar first wins. Okay, you got it? Of course, we'll start with my favourite mode, Dragon Universe, which also acts as the game's story mode. The story mode spans the Saiyan saga all the way to the end of the Buu saga, as well as several of the Dragon Ball Z films and a little bit of GT. There are a variety of characters to choose from. What portion of the story you witness will vary depending on which fighter you choose. However, not all of the characters you can unlock have their own story mode. You will be able to play a total of 11 characters, with 6 of them available at the very start. Since he is the main character, let's start this playthrough as Goku.
Long, long ago, Goku had many adventures while searching for the 7 magic Dragon Balls. With his trusted friends by his side, Goku successfully battled many powerful foes, until Earth was attacked by a mysterious warrior race. And so, a new battle begins.
Yeah. I don't really like how this story does hard cuts, and it does them quite a lot, as you'll soon see. And here we receive our first capsule, which is the Kamehameha. The capsule system is utilized to give your character skills and items. You can choose up to 7 skills or items, each of which can take up 1 to 7 slots depending on the skill. Now this was my absolute favorite part of this game as a kid, the ability to freely fly around the world map. And I use freely very liberally in this sense because you cannot ascend or descend. But you are able to speed up to breakneck pace, just like in the anime. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Well, maybe I'm lying. Maybe just a little. You can fly to points of interest all around the map using this ability. The main story events are marked with a red dot, but flying around will also reveal secondary events and objectives. Some are more obvious than others, such as those that take place in a city or near other notable landmarks. Others are more difficult to locate since they seem to be placed in the middle of nowhere. Oh, and this game also does another thing where not all of the dialogue is voiced, but a lot of it is. I get not having voice for the optional and side missions, but sometimes the main story isn't voiced and it's kind of jarring. There are also battle points found in each level. This one is a fight against the Cybermen, the same guy who is in the loading screen. Most of the time when you fight these guys, you will need to defeat multiples. You can fight these battles as many times as you like to farm for experience points. That's right. This game has a level up system. After winning a battle, you will receive experience. With each new level reached, you will be rewarded with a skill point that you can invest into one of 7 attributes. Health represents the amount of health your character will have when the battle begins. Ki indicates the amount of ki your character uses when executing ki-based techniques. It has an impact on your ki consumption as well. Attack will determine the amount of damage that your character does with their physical attacks. Guard will decide how well your character defends against an attack from the opponent. Arts will increase the damage for special moves. Ability will increase the effectiveness of equipped capsules and equipment. And finally we come to Com. Com stands for computer. At least I think it does. Unless it stands for something else. The higher this rating is, the better the character fares when used by the computer when you lose control of your character, or when the character is being used by the computer. This stat is mostly tied to the online element of the game, and I'm going to be going over this a little bit later in the video. We fight a Cyberman one more time and gain another level. Next we head over to the World Tournament and fight Tien. Alright, this should be pretty easy. But, what the hell, Tien? I thought we were friends. Oh, no, hyper mode. Maybe if I make it that he can't hit me. Oh, now's my chance. Oh no!
No more games!
Ha! Idiot. Now it's time for my glorious comeback. So a lot happened in that fight. Halfway through the fight, you saw that Tien entered a state called Hyper Mode. Entering this mode makes a character glow red. Ki slowly depletes, but Ki blasts, punches, and kicks have no effect on the character. Hyper Mode ends when all Ki runs out or when starting Dragon Rush. After a knockback attack in Hyper Mode, you can activate Dragon Rush. The 4 buttons Square, Triangle, X, and Circle direct both characters through a 3-stage sequence. If the attacker presses a button that the defender does not, the game goes to the following stage, with the defender taking damage. If the attacker guesses the same as the defender, Dragon Rush ends. Yes! First try. On the World Tournament stage, you are able to knock your opponent out of the ring as an alternative win state. While flying around, you can enter a kind of focus mode. A blue aura will loop the entire screen. If there is an area of interest nearby, it will emit a bright glow, making it easy to find extra items and even Dragon Balls. Here we managed to find the Dragon Radar, which makes collecting all the Dragon Balls a lot easier. Of course, finding all 7 Dragon Balls does grant you a wish. And after all that, we finally start the first main story fight.
You're a complete disgrace, Kakarot! Where is your Saiyan pride? My name is Goku, and I'm from Earth. I'll never join forces with you!
Ouch! Take this, brother from another mother. Although I do think we actually have the same mother. What the fuck am I talking about? After defeating Raditz, you can see we unlocked a story reenactment reward. You get them by fulfilling certain criteria during a fight, such as this one where we just had to use the Kamehameha against Raditz.
Why you... My partners are already on their way. They'll destroy you all. Well, I guess this is it, guys. But I'll keep training in the next world. Wish me back to life in 1 year. What a huge power level! Time to see if all my training with King Kai paid off.
I did not edit that at all. So in case you are completely confused by that scene, this is what happened. While Goku holds Raditz in place, Piccolo, who made no appearance in the game's version of events, uses a Ki Blast to kill Raditz, but it also kills Goku. Goku dies. Raditz warns them that more Saiyans are coming just before he dies. Goku goes to the afterlife and runs all the way to the end of Snake Way, where he trains with King Kai. A year later, Goku is wished back using the Dragon Balls just in time to fight off the new Saiyan threat. Okay, did you get that? Did that make sense? Did you clarify? This is one of the biggest problems the story mode has, a lack of context. If you haven't watched most of the anime or read the manga, then good fucking luck trying to follow this. It's told as a kind of bullet pointed version of the story, but because of the way Dragon Universe is set out, you don't always see every aspect of the story depending on the characters, so it's like half the bullet points are actually missing, so it doesn't make any sense. And sometimes the characters bring up things that make no sense or just flat out didn't happen.
Could this be the legendary Super Saiyan the future Trunks warned us about?
What? No, he didn't.
You're Hercule's daughter. The lookout has become too dangerous. Find somewhere else to hide.
Piccolo, what are you on about? We're not even at the lookout.
Korin! Take this with you. Oops. Sorry, Korin. Oh.
What the hell is that?
Now that Goku has been resurrected from his forever sleep, by talking to King Kai, we receive our first transformation.
You have learned well, Goku. Your Kaioken technique surpasses even my own. But don't overuse it, and never go higher than 2 times power. Do you understand?
Sorry, but even 2 times power might not be enough to beat the opponent I have to face.
The majority of characters in this game can transform. These states will alter your character's attack, guard, and key baseline values, and some will even unlock new moves. When you meet certain key requirements, you are able to transform your character. The stronger the transformation, the higher key amount you will need to have. If you're in contact with your opponent when you perform the transformation, you'll break their guard. When hit with less than 1 key gauge, some transformations can be reversed back to their default stage. For example, any Super Saiyan transformation or Gohan's and Krillin's unlocked potential, while others cannot. For example, Frieza and Cell's transformations, Cooler's transformation, or Broly's legendary Super Saiyan transformation.
I'll say this once. Leave now! Otherwise, I'll have no choice but to destroy you.
Who do you think you are? You think you're any match for me? I don't believe it! I'm an elite! How did a piece of low-level trash like you...
His fighting days are over, and that's 1 down and 1 to go.
This is one of those weird instances where it feels like this should be voiced, but it isn't for some reason.
I'm going to enjoy taking my time with you, Kakarot.
We'll see about that. I might just have a few surprises in store for you.
Uh-oh. As long as I can keep him away. God damn it. Ha! Filthy casual. Oh yeah, I can transform now. Now you're in for it. Now die! What you saw at the end there was a beam struggle. When you and your opponent launch a ki blast at the same time, you will enter a beam struggle. Whoever rotates the left analog stick the fastest will win the struggle. The same thing can happen with physical attacks, but I only managed to trigger it 3 times throughout all my recorded playthroughs.
But how? I am the Prince of all Saiyans, humbled by a clown!
Let's fight again sometime, Vegeta.
Awesome, so we unlocked Vegeta, and with that this ends the Saiyan saga, and we move on into the Frieza saga.
Having successfully fended off the Saiyan onslaught, Goku opts to spare Vegeta's life.
Mark my words, you'll pay for this, Kakarot, you and all of your friends!
Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma travel to Namek in the hopes of reviving their fallen friends.
Now before we do...
Once there, they confront the evil Frieza, who is also searching for the Dragon Balls. Helpless against Frieza's might, they have no choice but to join forces with Vegeta. Meanwhile, Goku has healed and is headed for Namek in a ship built by Bulma's father. His efforts to recover the Dragon Balls frustrated, Frieza summons the Ginyu Force. Can young Gohan survive against the Ginyu Force and Frieza? Will Goku make it in time?
Now before we do any of the main events, we are going to find all the Dragon Balls in the area. There should be 2. There's the first one. Well, I guess it's the third one, but actually it really is the first one. We fight the battle point a couple of times and level up, and we go to the first main fight in the saga, which is against Recoome from the Ginyu Force.
We are the Ginyu Force!
You just going to stand there, or are we actually going to fight?
It's pointless. You're already beaten. You just don't know it yet.
This part here is strange because it seems like the original idea was for you to fight him, but maybe his character was cut so you don't fight but you still level up. This happens a couple of more times in Tien and Yamcha's campaigns. And next up is Captain Ginyu.
Well, it's been a long time since I've had an actual challenge.
This guy seems a little tougher than those others.
As you can probably tell by now, the Dragon universe is just a bunch of fights surrounded by a retelling of the anime and manga. As a fan of the Dragon Ball franchise, I appreciate this approach, as if it was just fight after fight, I wouldn't find it as engaging, especially for someone like me who isn't a huge lover of fighting games. At last, we face the big baddie of the saga, Frieza.
You're Frieza? Funny. I always thought you'd be taller.
Wait, I know that face. Where have I seen him before?
As Goku, you will only ever get to fight him in his final form. Only playing through other characters' campaigns will the game pit you against his other transformations. Some stages do have destructible elements, but you do need to knock your opponent into the right area in order for them to activate. I wasted the skill point by putting it into comm, because I didn't actually know that's what the stat did when I was playing. I was too lazy to Google it. I regret everything I've ever done in my life.
No! This is not good!
Oh, sorry.
It's Frieza!
You miserable pests! You've caused me pain, and for that you will all pay!
No, stop it! Frieza! Goku! You've destroyed so many innocent lives already, and now Krillin too!
Yes, now we can transform into a Super Saiyan. Probably the most iconic transformation in the series. Ugh. And with that, the dramatic tension is lost. I guess they need to boot you out so you can equip the transformation, but they could have just done it automatically. I mean, they do that at other points in the game, like when Vegeta turns into Majin Vegeta. Why not here? It's so close to being right, but it just isn't for some reason. Anyways, let's continue.
I won't forgive you, Frieza!
Just what? What are you?
I am the hope of the universe, the voice of all the innocent lives you destroyed! I am Goku, and I am a Super Saiyan!
Frieza got jacked.
Now say you're sorry! Are you sorry yet?
As a result of Frieza's defeat, we acquire another level and Frieza is unlocked as a playable character.
Give up your evil ways, Frieza. Otherwise, we'll meet again.
This can't be happening. It can't be.
Gohan and the others return safely to Earth, thanks to the Namekian Dragon Balls. However, Goku remains on Namek to resolve things with Frieza. The battle is so intense that the planet itself begins to crumble. Thinking there was no way Goku could have survived, Bulma tries to wish him back to life. However, the wish is refused. Goku survived, and he relays a message that he will return by himself. With everyone alive again, Gohan waits impatiently for his father's return.
Now, because Goku is... damn it. Why doesn't it just play the whole thing at once? No, don't start it again. Don't...
Almost a year has passed since Goku's friends learned of his survival. Suddenly, a terrible power is felt approaching Earth. Frieza. And without Goku to save it, the Earth appears to be doomed. However, a mysterious youth appears and makes short work of Frieza. When Goku returns, the youth claims to be the son of Bulma and Vegeta from the future. He warns them of a looming threat, deadly androids that will appear in 3 years' time.
Now, because Goku spends the majority of the Android and Cell saga in bed, suffering from heart disease...
How's he doing in there?
He's doing fine. He's doing fine!
As Goku, there is only one major story fight in this saga. Hey look, it's Trunks' time machine. And it's a fight with Metal Cooler. Wait, what? Wasn't Metal Cooler on New Namek? How'd he get here?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Well, okay, then I guess we are fighting Cooler for some reason. Why do we both blow up? Despite my complaining, he does give a decent amount of experience. Not quite enough to level up though. We find the 3-star Dragon Ball in the middle of the ocean and head over to the fighting arena to fight Perfect Cell.
Well then, how about we get right to the main event?
If you insist. Although I was hoping to save the best for last.
Just like with Frieza, you only fight his final form as Goku, with other characters facing his other forms in their story campaigns. Ah, I lost. Right then, let's try this on for size. Are you serious? What? That doesn't count. But Goku loses this fight in the anime. No. Okay, I've definitely got him this time. No! What? The computer is cheating. It glitched my controller. Psych. Why won't you die?
Thus, in the shocking conclusion of the Cell games, Cell is destroyed and peace restored. However, the price of victory was high. Gohan tries to wish his father back to life, but...
I think the Earth will be safer without me. So thanks for trying, everyone. But please, don't wish me back.
Trunks returned to the future, and a new age began.
Well, so Gohan is one who ends up...
Years have passed since the Battle of Cell. Now a student in high school, Gohan also fights crime in Hercule City as Great Saiyaman. Hercule's daughter, Videl, threatens to expose him if he does not enter the World Tournament. Hesitant at first, Gohan changes his mind when he learns that Goku will also enter. Vegeta, Gohan's brother Goten, Trunks, Piccolo, and Krillin all sign up as well. But little...
Sorry, I accidentally pressed X. Sorry everyone. No, don't start it again. Oh, God damn it. Well, in the Buu saga, if you couldn't tell by the name, is centered around defeating the main antagonist, Buu. The pink one, not the ghost. Buu takes on a few different forms, but unlike with Frieza and Cell, we do get to fight most of them as Goku. But before we deal with Buu, we have to fight Vegeta, who has gone apeshit. We receive the Super Saiyan 2 transformation, which is my personal favourite transformation, in case anyone was wondering. We collect the final 2 Dragon Balls and then go to the mountains and confront Vegeta, and by confront I mean beat the shit out of him.
Vegeta, don't tell me you let yourself fall under Babidi's spell on purpose!
I did. It was the only way I could gain the power to defeat you. You're mine, Kakarot!
Wait, Vegeta! I'm sensing a massive power! It must be Majin Buu! If we don't stop now, everyone we care about will be destroyed! Bulma, Trunks, everyone!
Shut up! I don't care! I sold my soul to Babidi to be rid of such petty attachments!
You're lying! I know you don't really believe that!
Alright, you win. We'll postpone our fight for now.
Yeah, so Vegeta blew himself up in a glorious fashion.
Hey! Krillin! Piccolo! Great! You're not statues anymore! You guys had me worried for a second.
Next fight is against Fat Buu.
So, you're Majin Buu. I guess Vegeta and I underestimated you. We really didn't think you'd be this powerful. Here, why don't I teach you a thing or two about Saiyan? What you're seeing now, this is my normal state. This is a Super Saiyan. And if I push it beyond that, you get Super Saiyan 2. And this is to go even further beyond. I call this one Super Saiyan 3. Sorry that took so long. I haven't had much chance to practice this transformation.
Do not scared. Big hair makes you big funny.
Ah yes, Super Saiyan 3, a transformation so powerful that your eyebrows fall off. Now Fat Buu, for whatever reason, is one of the most aggressive characters to fight. He will be on your ass constantly throughout the fight. The only counter is to be even more aggressive.
Thanks, you too. but I don't have time to play with you all day. I've got to go now.
And the reward for winning is another character unlock.
Goku, it's time for you to return.
Oh yeah. Hey Piccolo, when I see Gohan over there, I'll tell him you said hello.
Oh yeah, Goku is still dead, by the way. He was allowed to visit Earth for a day or something, but I guess it wasn't important enough for the game to bring up. But there you go. You're welcome, people who don't know the anime story. Death has almost no meaning in the Dragon Ball universe. In fact, you're probably better off dead, quite frankly. Well, Goku gets sent to the other world and then he's back. This is where Super Buu is introduced, which is one of Buu's multiple transformations. He absorbs other characters and gains their powers. That's why he looks like he's cosplaying as other characters.
Fool! Don't you realize I'm in a completely different league now than the Majin Buu you faced?
You won't be so full of yourself for long. I have something here that will make you answer for all your crimes. Gohan, here, catch!
Huh? No! I'm sorry, Dad. I missed. What did you throw at me?
Pick it up! Hurry! Put it in your right ear. We're going to fuse bodies so we can defeat Majin Buu.
What's this? More fusion? It sounds more like desperation to me. It won't save you. I'm invincible! Oh!
What? The boy's fusion must be wearing off. So much for being invincible. Gohan and I won't even need to join bodies.
It's not finished yet! Or didn't you notice a certain piece of me was missing?
Huh?
Whoa!
What? He's absorbed Gohan! No! How can I let this happen?
This is great! I've become even more powerful than before!
I should have fused with Gohan when I had the chance. No! Now I'll have to find someone else.
Fusion? You've got to be joking. Why would I want to fuse with you? No thanks.
Yeah, I thought you might say that. But it's the only way we can hope to stop Majin Buu.
I'd rather let Buu beat me to a pulp than fuse with you.
Vegeta! Trunks has been absorbed by that thing! Vegeta!
Don't just stand there, give me the blasted earring! Okay, it's on, now what?
Great! Thanks, Vegeta!
Alright!
Vegeta plus Kakarot. Let's see now. I guess you can call me Vegito.
Ha! I found them. Huh?
The next fight will be using a fusion character. Fusion is a mechanic that allows certain characters to fuse together and gain a major power boost. There are two types of fusion in the game. The first fusion is done with a fusion dance. When using this type of fusion, the ki gauge is replaced with a timer. Until the timer runs out, you have infinite ki. When it reaches 0, the fusion ends. The second type is the Potara's fusion. When using this fusion, you keep the ki gauge and remain fused until the end of the fight.
Now I'm Super Vegito! Yeah, and...
Whoops. Forgot you this time. Damn it.
you! That's cheating! You can't fuse! Oh well, I guess I'll just have to absorb you, too. Now, barrier!
Nothing to worry about. He let himself be absorbed on purpose. He's trying to save the others before he destroys Boo.
What? His fusion is worn off. But I thought the effects of the Patara earrings were supposed to be permanent.
Who knows what sort of nasty stuff is inside Boo's body? Maybe it dissolved the fusion.
Hey, Tekra, come here. I found Trunks and the others.
Great, Vegeta! Now let's tear them out of here and fast!
I feel strange. What are they trying to pull? You freed all the fighters I've worked so hard to absorb!
This is bad. Boo's lost a lot of power, but I still don't think I can beat him.
So now we are fighting inside Boo. Now that's level variety for ya. The gimmick to this fight is that your health is constantly ticking down. It doesn't make that much of a difference to the fight, but is something different.
Not on your own, you can't.
In which case, we just have to find the way out of here. Vegeta, come on!
Wait, Kakarot! Let's just try pulling out this fat Boo! Stop it! You don't mess with that! I'll lose all that I am!
So up next is the final fight against Kid Boo.
We've got you now, Majin Buu! It can't be! It's too much! There's no way we can block that! The Earth will be... Vegeta, come here quick! We have to use my instant transmission! Hercule, you grab on too!
This will be the end of the Earth. It'll be turned into dust, and Majin Buu will be able to regenerate. Hey, you should give your Patara earrings to Goku. If he fuses again, perhaps he can still win.
No, we're done with fusion. We tried it, and it didn't work out. No, we need to rely on our individual strength.
I agree, Kakarot. Spoken like a true Saiyan. Kakarot, how many times have you saved the Earth?
What? I don't know. I'm kind of on the spot here. But let's see. How many times has it been?
My point is, perhaps it's time you let the Earth fend for itself. Let's start preparing a spirit bomb!
That's your big idea? A spirit bomb? But gathering the energy bit by bit like that, even from the entire planet...
Except we're not going to gather it bit by bit. We're going to make the people of Earth give us everything they've got.
I see what you mean. Okay, Vegeta, you've convinced me. Let's do it. If this doesn't stop Majin Buu, nothing will.
Now it is important that you finish the fight using the move Super Spirit Bomb. If you don't, the story ends and you'll miss out on some extra content, and you'll have to start the story mode all over again just to unlock it. So don't do that. Because I definitely didn't do that. Wouldn't have any idea about that.
Now! Everyone, please! Share your energy with me! It's coming! I can't wait to see what you'll do next time. Later!
All right! Now I should be able to defeat Boo! Get clear, Vegeta!
You fool! Don't concern yourself with me. Just do it! I'll get him safe. You just do it. Finish it.
Nice one, Hercule! You really are the champion of the world, of the universe even! Yeah, it's finally over.
Yay! So the world is saved once again. Using the Spirit Bomb to defeat Kid Boo unlocks the fight with Oob, Boo's reincarnation.
Just relax, or you won't be able to tap into your full power.
Yes.
Wow, you're really something, you know that? I mean, really strong. But you could still be a whole lot stronger. How'd you like to train with me?
Once you defeat him, he is unlocked, and that is the end of Goku's campaign. Goku abandons his family to train with Oob because he's a piece of shit father and a terrible grandfather, and he sucks and he's stupid and I hate him.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Like mentioned way earlier in the video, collecting all 7 Dragon Balls grants you a wish. Well, you can't wish for whatever you want, but you do get to pick one of 3 options. Breakthrough is a capsule that unlocks all of the characters' abilities, including transformations. Memories unlock voice clips, and Mysterious Vest is a rare capsule. Of course, I pick Breakthrough. Now that the first playthrough is complete, we can move on to the second playthrough and start unlocking quite a bit of extra stuff. Plus, it is really fun to just completely destroy people with your overpowered character. Aw, poor Raditz. He never stood a chance. On the second playthrough during the Frieza saga, we are able to fight Cooler. It's kind of weird that you can fight Metal Cooler before facing his regular form, but the movies don't really fit in with the timeline anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Just an odd choice, I thought.
Frieza! Ah, I thought the distress call was a mistake. Now I see why my brother had to make it. But I assure you, my brother's weakness is not a trait I share.
Also, it kicks you out to the world map and makes you re-enter to fight him.
So, you're the Saiyan who gave Frieza so much trouble. My, the very same child we let escape all those years ago.
Oh no, he's even stronger than Frieza! Later!
How could I be so stupid? Why didn't I blow up your ship when I had the chance?
I did it!
And now he is metal in a span of 10 seconds.
Even if I lose, I will be remade even stronger thanks to the power of the Big Getty Star.
Why?
I know you. You're cooler. But how did you get a new body?
I don't have to explain anything to you, miserable Saiyan.
Wow, that was
disappointing.
No! Impossible!
This time, it's finally over.
Didn't even unlock anything. If you travel to this location in the Buu saga, the Broly storyline will begin. Instead of moving on to the Kid Buu fight after winning the 2 Super Buu fights, an alternative cutscene with Vegeta will play. Broly can be faced after this cutscene.
You. I know you. I see. You've been searching for me for a long time, haven't you?
Kakarot! Kakarot!
Just like in the anime, he is ridiculously huge. The fight isn't that difficult because Goku has leveled up so much by this point, but Broly manages to reduce my health to half a bar. Because they suck. I mean, I don't know. It's a mystery to me.
Kakarot.
I'm sorry that you had to live your life consumed by hate. It's a shame. Perhaps in another life, you and I can challenge each other as friends.
Winning the battle unlocks Broly, which is something you really want to do, because he is the only villain, unless you count Vegeta, which I don't, that has a story campaign.
I guess I've earned a quick little break. What's this?
Another unlock you can get from defeating Broly is the Gogeta fusion. You'll be able to put it to the test in a match against Gotenks at the World Tournament Arena. It's an awesome prize.
We're better at fusion than you. We won't let you win just because you're our dads.
Careful, boys. Your old men still have a trick or two up their sleeve.
This is an area where the game excels, rewarding the player that goes the extra mile. And it isn't even the last thing you can unlock from Goku's campaign. If you find the Super Saiyan 4 transformation capsule, you can fight and unlock a Mega Shenron from Dragon Ball Z GT. Out of all the characters, Goku's Dragon Universe campaign is the most comprehensive. So when it comes to the other characters, I'm going to be more brief as they cover most of the same ground, just with a slight variance in the story. Next, let's play as my favourite character, Piccolo, Best Dad. Piccolo is one of the game's best characters. He's powerful, swift, and has incredible reach, and he only needs 2 transformations to reach his final form. In Piccolo's version of the Raditz fight, you will receive the ability Special Beam Cannon, which is the move that was actually used to defeat Raditz in the manga and anime. While Goku is dead, Piccolo ends up training Gohan to help fight against the same threat. After that, not much is different from Goku's campaign. Vegeta and Nappa are defeated and it moves on to the Frieza saga. On planet Namek, Piccolo will encounter Nao and fuse with him to increase his power. The battle against Frieza's second form takes place here.
So that's Frieza. He doesn't look nearly as tough as I thought.
This one, there's something different about him. He's not like the other Nameks. But he can be defeated all the same.
He big. After defeating his second form, Frieza will transform once again.
So sorry to keep you waiting. Now then, it's time for round 2.
You monster.
He also big.
My, that was a fine attack, but oops, you used all your energy.
Wait, there's a massive power level headed this way. Goku?
The Android/Cell saga in Piccolo's campaign is a lot more involved than Goku's, thanks to the fact that Piccolo wasn't passed out for the majority of it.
Kakarot, you idiot, what are you doing?
Dying. Mostly. Little help. Thanks, best buddy.
This time you actually have to fight some androids.
I'll handle him. The rest of you stay back.
If I can absorb his energy, I can use it against Vegeta.
The first is Android 20, also known as Dr. Gero. Once that fight is over, Piccolo will fuse with Kami for yet another power boost. With a newfound strength, the following battle with Cell's first form is very straightforward.
What is this strange energy I'm sensing? What are you?
I am Cell, an android created by Dr. Gero from you and your friend's cells.
Answer me. Why have you come back from the future?
Why? In order to absorb Android 17 and 18 and achieve my perfect form, that's why. When I do that, I will be the ultimate power in the universe.
In an attempt to stop Cell from absorbing the androids to achieve his perfect form, we must fight Android 17. Before the fight, we got a new technique, Hell Zone Grenade.
Nowhere for you to run. This is the end.
Despite his efforts, Cell does eventually reach his final form, but hey, at least we unlocked Android 17. Boo Saga! After wandering around lost, I finally found what I was looking for. If we drop down into Central City, we will meet up with Videl, and for that we unlock Hercule, and that leads into the campaign's final fight against Boo in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber.
Wait, Majin Buu. You'll have to fight me before you face them. What's the point in that? You are weak! Okay, I bought us a little time.
Thanks to Piccolo, the fusion was a success. Gotenk's incredible power was unleashed. As he drove Majin Buu back, the restoration of peace seemed only a step away.
Up next is one of the most powerful and talented martial artists on Earth. Courageous, faithful, and good-natured Krillin! Another one of my favourite. Because his fists and kicks have limited range, using Ki Blasts is essential for playing him. Krillin only has 2 fights in the Saiyan saga, one against the Cybermen and the other against Nappa. While on Namek, we will unlock Krillin's only transformation hidden potential from the Guru. Krillin faces 2 of the Ginyu Force members, Recoome and Captain Ginyu, who has taken over Goku's body.
What's wrong, Goku? You look a little strange. And what's with the scouter?
Do you really want to know? What? I can't understand it. This body should have much more power than this.
Nothing's wrong with the body. It's the driver that stinks. Why don't you just give up?
In this saga, Krillin's final 2 fights are against Frieza in his second and final form. And then he dies. But don't worry, he gets wished back. Beating Krillin's campaign for the first time unlocks his wife, Android 18. Now during the second playthrough, if we talk with this frog on Namek, we're able to move on to the Android/Cell saga with Krillin. Why is this the trigger? I don't know. In this saga there is just one fight, but first we must locate Android 16 and deliver him to Bulma for repair. Once this is done, we are rewarded with unlocking Android 16. Nice. Then we can go fight Cell, and that is it for Krillin's campaign.
This is not possible. I am perfect.
He spat out 18. I'll save her. Goku, you do the rest.
Just wait. I'll ask the dragon to turn you into a normal human. Then I'll wish 17 back to life. That way, you two will be happy together.
You idiot. 17 is my twin brother. And if you think you'll win my heart with that lousy wish, guess again. Huh?
Vegeta. Vegeta is up next.
The Saiyans, once a proud warrior race, made a living by conquering planets and selling them. However, most of the Saiyans were wiped out when their own homeworld was destroyed. Only the Prince Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, and his younger brother Kakarot survived. Now, each of them approaches the Earth, each with a different goal in mind.
Vegeta's campaign is a similar length to Goku's, if not longer. Is it longer? Maybe. It's hard to tell. Vegeta's campaign is quite unique as you start off as playing as the villain. In the Saiyan saga, Vegeta makes use of the Scouter instead of the Focus ability. It works the exact same way, it just uses different visuals. We can also blow up cities for money. Nice. The first fight is against Goku and then with his young son Gohan. On Namek, Vegeta spends most of the time tracking down the Dragon Balls to wish for immortality so he can defeat Frieza. For the first time we get to fight Frieza in his first form.
You miserable worm! You dare to get in my way? Now you will suffer the consequences!
Maybe I will and maybe I won't. Either way, don't expect this to be easy, Frieza.
After Frieza's final form proves too much for Vegeta, we move on to the Android/Cell saga. Vegeta has now gained Super Saiyan status and we're up against Android 17 and Android 18 for the first time.
You know what? Just for that, I'm not gonna take it easy on you anymore!
After 17 is absorbed, we will face semi-perfect Cell.
Vegeta, why are you here? Surely not to defeat me. Defeat you? No, to destroy you so completely that not even a molecule remains. Yes.
And then perfect Cell. With the Cell saga complete, is on to the final stage. Now Vegeta's Buu saga plays out almost exactly the same as Goku's, apart from at the start. At the start of the saga, we get to play as Majin Vegeta. He is even in this form in the overworld, which is pretty cool. You unlock his son Trunks after completing the campaign for the first time. During the second playthrough, we can also face Cooler on Namek, fight against the legendary Super Saiyan Broly, and do the fusion battle against Gotenks. Pretty similar to Goku's campaign, but a decent alternative if you prefer the same prince. Gohan's Dragon Universe is actually split up into 3 separate campaigns: Kid Gohan, Teen Gohan, and Adult Gohan. As Kid Gohan, you are very limited with abilities, so limited in fact that I ended up buying some from the capsule store. One of the more notable events in Gohan's story doesn't occur until the Cell saga, where he achieves Super Saiyan 2 and we can perform the iconic father and son Kamehameha.
God, my fucking knee! That's my knee! Damn it!
On a side note, there is a sparring match in the hyperbolic time chamber between Goku and Gohan, which does not occur in Goku's campaign. This is one of those strange aspects of the way the narrative is told in this game. In many cases, as we play through a character's journey, we end up fighting a lot of the same fights, usually from the perspective of the other character, as seen in many of the fights between Goku and Vegeta. However, there are times when a fight is completely absent from a character's campaign, even though they were clearly there. Basically what I'm saying is that the game is very inconsistent when it comes to the storytelling. By the time of the Buu saga, Gohan has grown into an adult. For the first fight, it's a sparring match against his little brother Goten.
Hey Goten, how about some sparring with your big brother? You know what sparring is?
Yeah, Mom showed me all about it while you were studying. Come on then! Wow, bro! You are so strong! I didn't stand a chance!
You're incredible too, Goten! I had no idea you were quite this good! If you keep on training hard, you might be able to enter the World Tournament too!
After this match, you unlock Goten and can continue on to face Videl.
Come on then, Gohan, let's fight!
Now just hold on!
After a very abrupt transition, we are going to be fighting the King of Demons, definitely not Satan, it is Deborah.
You foolish boy. Keep playing this game and you're going to get hurt.
After being defeated by Buu for the first time, the Elder Supreme Kai unlocks Gohan's hidden potential to use in the final fight against Super Buu. And for our troubles, we unlock
I am the unmitigated champion of justice, who tolerates no evil. Great Saiyaman at your service.
I'd say those 2 hours of practice last night just paid off.
I'm going to be going over Tien and Yamcha's story modes at the same time because they're not very long and they don't have that much to go over.
Frankly, I'm just happy to be included.
Mr. Popo gives Tien and Yamcha a free level up, exactly how Goku did with Now.
Your little monster wasn't as strong as you thought, huh? I'd say your celebration is still a bit premature.
Yamcha is the first to encounter Android 20 in the Cell Saga, while Tien battles Semi-Perfect Cell as well as Cell Jr. Tien also has to deal with Super Buu after he absorbs Gotenks. Yamcha's story concludes with a match between himself and Tien at the World Martial Arts Championship. In terms of the timeline, Oob's story actually takes place after the Buu saga. Nothing much of note really happens in it, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's just Oob meeting Goku at the World Martial Arts tournament and then training for a bit with Fat Buu before fighting against Goku once again. And that's it. Now because Oob is the last Dragon Universe campaign we needed to complete, we receive an invitation to fight in the Dragon Arena. So let's head on over there now, shall we? Okay, I kid. We'll do Broly.
Long ago, the evil Bibidi somehow created the monster Majin Buu. Unable to control Buu, Bibidi sealed him away and carried him to Earth. Thus, when Bibidi was defeated by the Supreme Kai, Buu was thought to be neutralized. However, Bibidi had a son with the same evil heart, Babidi. After bringing the Demon King Deborah under his control, Babidi hatched his plans to revive Buu. The Supreme Kai has turned to Goku and his friends for help. Can they stop Babidi in time?
Now Broly's story mode is pure Now Broly's story mode is pure fan service. He is the only villain to have his own Dragon Universe campaign in the entire game. Taking place in the Buu Saga, we get to fly around the world as the legendary Super Saiyan in search of our mortal enemy Goku, who Broly hates with a passion because he cried too much as a baby. I'm not making this up, that's actually his character motivation. While searching, we end up fighting some little boys, then a little girl, and even a little man, before we get stopped by an adult. The moral of the story is, if you beat up little kids, don't get caught. And that is a lesson I believe all of us could benefit from learning.
Welcome to the secret arena of the infamous Red Ribbon Army, and the last place you'll ever see. Who will fight?
After completing Dragon Universe with each character, you can fight in the Dragon Arena. The Dragon Arena is a game mode that allows you to fight multiple opponents using a level-based custom character. You can unlock rare capsules and earn XP in this mode. Now you may have noticed this password screen that kept popping up while I was playing. Well, this is where you actually use it. It was a kind of online system where you could share your password with other people and they could fight your leveled up character. I never used this as a kid because I didn't actually know that this is what the passwords were for. I honestly thought that they were a kind of save system for people who didn't have a memory card like they used to have in really old games. Next, let's take a look at the World Tournament mode. It's a tournament setting, as the name suggests, where you battle for money and prizes. There are 4 different tournaments to choose from, each with its own prize money, battle count and rules. The World Tournament mode also allows you to compete against up to 8 players in a martial arts tournament. You cannot earn any prize money if more than 1 human player is present. There is Novice, which is available from the start. It consists of 3 battles played in a ring, so there is a potential for ring out. Adept can be unlocked after beating the Novice tournament at least once and then purchasing the capsule from the store. There are 4 battles that also take place in the ring. The Advanced is unlocked the same way, but you must beat the Adept tournament at least once. You fight 5 battles in the ring. The final tournament is the Cell Games. This tournament is a bit different as it doesn't have any ring out. The only way to win is to deplete all 5 of your opponent's health bars to 0. As for unlocking this one, first you will have to unlock the Dragon Arena mode, which as stated before can be done by finishing the Dragon Universe mode for all its characters. Play it and have Cell break into a battle, which is a random event that will happen sometimes and you must defeat him. I'm not that into this mode, mostly due to the ring out system. Sometimes you'll be winning and your opponent gets a lucky hit and it's all over. However, it is a good way to earn money to buy capsules from the store. Let's head over there now. The capsule store is pretty self-explanatory. It's a store where you can go to spend the money you earn from playing Dragon Universe and the World Tournament modes. There are 4 different types of capsules: ability capsules, equipment capsules, item capsules, and system capsules. The store is randomized, so it does pay to check in often to see what they have. In dueling mode, this is where I would face off against my friend.
If I had one!
You can either compete against the computer opponent or against another player. In addition, you can also watch a fight between 2 computer fighters. Why you'd want to do this? I don't know, but you can. So there you go. Even after all this time, this game holds a special place in my heart. As a kid, Budokai 3 had everything I could ever ask for as a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. A fun story mode where I could fly around as some of my favourite heroes, a huge roster of characters to play and unlock, simple but engaging gameplay, timeless cel-shaded graphics, and a killer soundtrack. Budokai 3 has the highest review score out of all 3 Budokai games, but unfortunately it had the lowest sales. Maybe people were burnt out by the Dragon Ball Z franchise, or put off by some other game. Budokai 2. Whatever it was, the franchise moved on to the Budokai Tenkaichi series, which I also played as a kid. But no other Dragon Ball Z game had captured my affection quite like Budokai 3, not before and not since. So do I think Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 is still good? Despite some storytelling mishaps and being somewhat repetitive, even now I happily played through all of the characters' story modes, tried my hand at winning the world tournament, and just had fun messing around in practice mode. I don't think this game is just good. I think this game is pretty good.